It is a pleasure to welcome High Representative Kaja Kallas to Ivy House and to Dublin today, and I really do look forward to working with you and to working with all of your team in the months ahead. As you all know, tomorrow we will publish Ireland's presidency programme centred on our three key priorities essential to Europe's future: competitiveness, values and our security, all of which are very much interlinked, and I think these priorities reflect both the challenges that we face but of course the opportunities that we must seize working together. We also look forward to welcoming Kaja and her team and many other colleagues back to Ireland for the informal meeting of Defence Ministers and also for the informal Gymnich meeting of Foreign Affairs Ministers that will happen early in the new term. Standing firmly with Ukraine will be one of Ireland's defining priorities during our presidency. Europe's support for Ukraine must remain unwavering for as long as it takes. Today we discussed the EU support for Ukraine, the work that has been done to date, and of course the need for us to maintain pressure on Russia to end this conflict, including through robust sanctions. And we of course discussed the issue of Agnieszka alumna, and I've made it very clear that our support remains firmly with Ukraine, and that once the investigation that is underway concludes, that information will be provided to the Commission, and we will work directly with them. We will ensure that any decisions that need to be taken to put pressure on Russia, that they will have the full support of Ireland. I saw myself firsthand the extraordinary courage and resilience of the Ukrainian people during our visit in March this year. Ensuring Ukraine continues to receive that political, financial and military support that it needs will be high on my agenda. Advancing the EU's common work on security and defence will be a key priority, and we've had a good exchange on these issues as well. Strengthening Europe's security and defence is no longer a future challenge, it is an immediate responsibility. Ireland also has a long-standing commitment to peace and stability in Lebanon through our partnership with UNIFIL, and we will take a leading role in the EU discussions on the next phase of international support for Lebanon, working closely with our EU partners to ensure that there is that continued engagement and presence on the ground of our troops that reinforces the stability that is needed. We welcome the work in the EU security strategy as well as the defence readiness through the White Paper and Readiness Roadmaps 2030 process. Maritime security will be a particular area of focus throughout our presidency, including efforts to enhance our maritime domain awareness, protect critical infrastructure and strengthen resilience in our shared maritime environment. And I look forward to discussing these matters across a number of the Council formation. The situation in the Middle East, of course, was firmly on today's agenda. The resumption of conflict between Iran and Israel at the weekend is deeply concerning. We agreed the need for a negotiated outcome, the importance of reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and the need to address the range of regional security issues. We're working closely with our Gulf partners, as we have done in recent meetings, who continue to be directly impacted by Iran's attacks. The situation in Lebanon, as I've mentioned, continues to be deeply concerning. Hezbollah's attacks on Israel are completely unacceptable. However, Israel's military response is completely disproportionate, and so the EU must put its collective weight behind Lebanon's sovereignty, humanitarian needs and recovery. Development cooperation and humanitarian assistance will also be important priorities throughout our presidency. As the world's largest provider of development assistance, the EU has a vital leadership role to play in addressing poverty and humanitarian need, and Minister Richmond will progress that committee, supported by Kaja and her team. Today we also discussed Palestine, the humanitarian catastrophe continuing to unfold in Gaza, where civilians have endured unimaginable suffering, and of course we must not lose sight of the situation in the West Bank, where settlement expansion and settler violence continues to threaten the viability of the two-state solution. That is why here in Ireland, at home, our government, I as Minister, have moved forward with legislation to ban trade in the illegal settlements, and tomorrow I will introduce the Israeli Settlements Bill into the Dáil. I also hope that action at an EU level will be possible, and this is something that we discussed today. I continue to call for a proposal that would prohibit trade at EU level with settlements in the West Bank. I believe that this is the best way in which we can bring forward a peaceful solution and the objective of a two-state solution. But again, can I just reiterate my thanks to Kaja, to all of her team, and to say that I look forward to working with you, not just on these matters, but on so many other matters as they arise in the 6 months ahead. And I look forward to a successful presidency with you and your team. Thank you.